Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Freedom Thinking to Community Group. Excuse me. What a start? Well, you know me by now. Professional to the end. The date is the 24th of November, 2025. 1 month till Christmas Eve. Bloody hell. Anyway, Bill, welcome. My name's Dave Ellery. Jen is on her way. She is currently putting our little baby to bed. Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. And thank you everybody who supports us. Thank you everybody who makes donations. Thank you for everybody who comments, likes, and subscribes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. We hope that you get benefit from these calls. And Jen and I enjoy doing them. We love the people that come and join us. We love it when people drop us messages to let us know how they're getting on. So yeah, thank you everybody for being here, and thank you everybody for your support. If you wish to make a donation, look in the link below in the description, YouTube description. There's ways and means in there for making donations. The best way for us, PayPal, friends and family, or bank transfer. That's that way we don't get charged. So thank you everybody. Bit of a heads up. From the 5th to the 9th, I can confirm it. From the 5th to the 9th of February, we have a retreat. It's in Suffolk. It's a beautiful place. It's got a hot tub. It's got a sauna. It looks a really, really beautiful spot. We've already got 4 or 5 places gone. I think we can take up to 16. Yeah, anybody who wishes to get some more information, please email us info@freedomthinking.co.uk. The cost is £795. It's for 4 days with Jen and myself and whoever else turns up. Some wonderful people we already know are coming. So yeah, 5th to the 9th of November. No, I'm not. 5th to the 9th of February. 5th to the 9th of February. I'm tired. So there we go. All right. Cool. I think I'm pretty much covered for all that stuff. Yeah. All right. Right. Well, welcome everyone, and let's see where tonight goes. I do enjoy a community group. I get this kind of little apprehension every single week. I'm like, is this going to be the week nobody turns up? And like I often say, so I started this in 2014. It started in person, and the first week I started this community group, I had like 19 fellas show up because it was a men's group. Next week I had 2. One of them was my dad, and the other one was my best mate. It was a proper low point. I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off. I was like, oh, getting all stroppy about it, and then slowly. Well, I said to the people who asked me to run this community group for a men's group, I said, can I invite women as well? And they were like, no, it just wants to be men. I was like, yeah, but what about women? Like, can we not just make it for everybody? And they were like, no, no, no. And then after a couple of weeks, I realized, oh no, they go at 4 o'clock and you start your community group at 6 o'clock. Nobody's here to check. So I just opened it up to men and women, and we started getting good numbers, and it was great. That's where it started. So every week I'm kind of like, is this going to be the week where nobody shows up? And it hasn't. It's never happened to this day. Touch wood, it's never happened. If it happens, it happens. What was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, but every single week I get this little apprehension about, oh, what are we going to talk about? I haven't really got anything to talk about this week. And somehow we seem to fill nearly 2 hours every single week. I don't know how the hell it happens. I think it's because of you lot on the screen. So thank you all for bringing inspiration and bringing content and, asking you questions. Because if you ask a question, guarantee you there's X amount of other people who want to know the answer. Guarantee you. So thank you all for being here. And if you do want to be on a live community group, please get in touch with us, info@freedomthinking.co.uk, and we can send you the link. Ideally, we'd ask if you could join a WhatsApp or a Telegram group, because that's the easiest way for us to get the information out, because it saves us having to go through individual people and make sure we email individual people. It's just quite time consuming. But if you're on a WhatsApp or a Telegram group, we just go ping, there you go, everybody's got the information. It's a quiet group, and we encourage the quiet in the quiet group because we don't want it pinging all the time. We don't want our phones pinging all the time, let alone everybody else's phones pinging all the time. And if we ask that if people wish to communicate within the group, please contact each other individually. And we try and keep it quiet because we know we like the quiet. All right. It's funny, Lucy here tonight, she came running upstairs and she was saying, "Did you see her?" I said, "Did I see who, Lucy?" And she went, "I think it's Big Raya." I said, "Who's Big Raya?" She went, "It was a lady with white hair. She walked up. Can I show you?" And she took me around all the house. She said, "I saw her here and I've seen her there. And she walked into your room." And I'm like, "Who was it, Luz?" And she's like, "I've no idea. I don't know. I don't know." I said, "How big was she?" Kind of trying to gauge if it was a fairy or whatever. And she's like, "About the same size as Mummy." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, she's got bright white hair." There she is. She's here. She's here. She's here. She's going. She's here. She's here. Oh, she's walked into the other room. And then I went through and was like, she started saying to her, "What are you doing?" She's going, "Can you see her, Daddy?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What's she doing?" She said, "She's doing something with tablets." I said, "What's she doing with tablets?" And she went, "Oh, she's hiding them." I was like, "Oh, right, okay. All right, Luce." So I've had a bit of a kind of like busy couple of minutes just running up to this. So I'm kind of trying to track who's Lucia seeing at this present moment in time. Hi, Rach. We haven't started. You're still in time, love. I'm just babbling. Right. Let's make a start. Let's get professional as we get. Um, has anybody got any direction they wish to take tonight's community group?
Okay, I'll start.
Right, tell.
Thinking about your thinking. Um, I don't know whether you know Billy Mann, a lovely Irish guy in the principals conversation. Lovely,
No,
lovely Irish guy.
I seem to know the name.
But he did a reel about getting caught up. Sorry if you can hear Tilly in the background. Hopefully it's not too much. Getting caught up in thinking about our thinking. And I know that I do that a lot. And then I start going, oh no, I'm thinking about it again. Um, yeah, and it resonated. And I thought, yeah, thinking about your thinking, like getting vigilant or hyper vigilant about the content, knowing that this will pass, like walking back from the shops, I was like, oh my God, look at the moon. This,
Oh, it's just a slither, isn't it?
whoa, this incredible
Yeah.
crescent. I was like, whoa, look at that. And then I kind of looked down and then I looked back up and it was gone. And I thought, Lise, it's just like thinking it's there and then it's gone, but just hold on, I kind of hold on to it too much and then get spiral into the content of that thinking and struggle to know that this too shall pass, but get caught up in the thinking about thinking.
What were the three principles, Lise?
Mind, thought, and consciousness.
Was it mind, thinking, and consciousness?
No.
No.
I just thought I'd throw it in as a starter for 10.
No, I like it and I appreciate it. Like I said, there'll be countless other people. I went for a walk with Neil yesterday. Neil came and saw us. We came and had a brew and went for a walk, and it was lovely. We had a lovely time. It was so nice to meet you, but we're having this like,
And you, Dave.
yeah, thanks, man. We're having a conversation yesterday about thinking. The problem with thinking is it's already taken form. Okay, it's already happened. And this is kind of the confusing point where people get really confused with the principles. It's very difficult for some people to kind of see beyond thinking to the power of thought. Now, you may feel like I'm being a little bit pedantic. I don't really talk about thinking. I was saying to Neil yesterday, like, all right, I call my business freedom thinking. And I had to explain to Neil that that is literally because all the good domain names are gone. So I'm kind of left with freedom thinking. But however, thinking isn't really kind of what I'm remotely interested in. You know, people come and talk to us about all kinds of thinking. It's where people get mesmerized in their thinking. But the power of thought, now we're having a different conversation. Okay. Thinking is what thinking comes from thought. The power of thought is infinite. Thinking is singular, it's collapsed into a potential. But the power of thought is infinite potential. We want to talk about our potentials. I don't want to talk about the potentials because we can talk about one potential only to lead to another potential, which will lead to another potential, which will lead to another potential. But you know this, lead to another potential. This is where we end up. We end up analyzing our thinking. And where do we end up? End up in confusion, lost down psychological rabbit holes. Sid never spoke about mind, consciousness, and thinking. He spoke about mind, consciousness, and the power of thought. There's a vast difference. The power of thought precedes all of us. It comes before man. Thinking doesn't. Thinking is what we're doing. The power of thought is a pre-existing fundamental force that allows all life to create an experience, to flavor its own existence. Thinking is what it does, is what it's creating. Thinking, the power of thought, sorry, is a spiritual fundamental fact where there is no limitation. The moment you think, you create limitation because it appears like this is everything. It's only through thinking do we create limitation. The power of thought, there's no limitation, infinite. So this is why Sid was trying to point people towards the power of thought over their thinking. I mean, you go to a psychologist, they're going to talk about your thinking, right? I'm not knocking psychology, but it's it's thinking centric. Sid wasn't talking thinking centric, he was talking the power of thought. Power of thought. I was talking to Neil yesterday and I asked him, I said, in this lifetime, do you think you'll ever run out of thoughts? What would your answer be, Lise?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. And if it's true that reincarnation is a thing, that energy doesn't die,
Oh wow. I, I'm burying Hugh on Friday, so talk on.
okay? If it's true that death is ultimately not a substantial event, but it is actually something that we've gone through many times, continuum of energy, continuum of consciousness, given that everything is energy and you cannot destroy consciousness, it can only change form, according to conventional science. If that's true, do you think you would run out of thoughts in your next lifetime?
Definitely not. I've come back as a very thinking rabbit.
Thinking rabbit. Next lifetime after that, what do you think?
Hopefully a bloody Buddha or something.
Will you run out of thoughts?
No.
No. Okay. So it sounds to me like what we're talking about when we're talking about thought is we're talking about infinite, ongoing, eternal, constant creation. Okay. So if you notice, that's inside of us, every single one of us. That lies at the heart of our being, does the infinite potential to create experience, the infinite potential to think any way, the infinite potential to create a whole new means by which to help the world, a whole new, as I was saying to Neil, the whole new way to destroy the universe. It lies within us, it lies within every single one of us. We have access to infinite information. That's how everything comes into being. Because everything starts with thought, the power of thought. Everything starts from the power of thought. Every idea we conjure up, every thought that interacts with the nervous system takes thought. It's taken some intelligence to piece together and then manifest. Every swallow that makes its way down over the Sahara Desert down to South Africa, only to turn around again and come back over the Sahara, over the Mediterranean, up through Europe, and to the very eaves that it came to last year. What kind of thought is endowed within the swallow? So inside everything is infinity. Tell me if you hear me say a falsehood, please. Please, if you hear me say something that is inaccurate, that isn't making sense, I want you to ask me to either expand, okay, expand on that, please, Dave, or say, Dave, you're talking crap. But would it not make sense that if by your own reckoning you will never run out of thoughts for X amount of lifetimes, however many bloody lifetimes you want to talk about, and I want other people to think about this point, do you think it's possible that you will ever run out of thoughts? Then in that case, you must have the infinite potential within you. Do your thoughts, are your thoughts caused outside of yourself, or do they come from inside of yourself? That may be something for people to contemplate. See, this is why Sid was talking about the power of thought over thinking. One of them is creating a false identity. Thinking creates false identities. Okay, because it looks finite. It makes everything look constricted. Well, it has to because it's potentials. But when you start to awaken, you realize, oh no, I'm infinite potential. I'm not what I think I am, but I appear as I think. I am a manifestation of my own imagination. I am both creator and observer. I create and observe the reality I experience. Now, this is a really empowering thing for people to realize because the only thing we suffer is our own false identities. And our false identities are created from beliefs. What is a belief? Well, a belief is a potential, a thinking that we assume to be the truth, that we assume to be more real than any other potential. In actual fact, no thinking has any more power than the next thinking. No thought has any more power than the next thought. It's us that has the power. It's us that believes into it. And this is, I've mentioned this many times, but it's when people come and work with us with the suicide. I've had the suicide thought, Dave. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Sit down. No problem. Do you mean no problem? Well, it's no problem, is it really? You obviously, you're still here. So the thought itself doesn't do anything. The thinking itself didn't do anything. It was your thinking about the thinking that's got you sitting here. You see, so when we start to reclaim our true power, when we start to reclaim who and what we truly are, and I say reclaim because we gave it away. We gave it away naively. We gave it away innocently. It never went anywhere. We just, from our infinite creative capacity, the power of thought, we dreamt the idea that we were something else other than infinite potential. We dreamt that we were something else other than love. We dreamt that we were something else other than God. And we dreamt a dream that was so far away from truth that we ended up feeling what that felt like to be so far away from truth, so far away from love. And it feels like hell. Heaven and hell being states of consciousness, not places you go. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what you've done. You're it. You are the very thing that you hope to awaken to. You're already it. It's like an ocean trying to find itself. It's looking all over the spot. It's looking through all its waves. Where am I? Which wave am I? Which wave am I? I'm just that bloody tiny ripple there, aren't I? Oh, I'm just that. Oh, no, bloody hell. Where did he come from? That one. It must be that one then. We're like an ocean trying to find ourselves in the waves, not realizing we're already the water. We're already spiritual. We're already everything we could ever want. We are alive. We exist and we are alive. We're here now. We create reality. We create our own separate reality. One of my favorite quotes of Sid Banks is you're born into this world and you get to create what you're born into this world and you you get to come to this world and you get to create whatever reality you so wish. There is no greater gift in the universe than that. I love that quote. Every single one of us is endowed with the infinite capacity to create experience. We can create heaven or we can create hell. It's all the same ocean used in a different way. It's all the same power, the power of thought used in a different way to create a different experience. I was walking with Neil yesterday. We were like, what's joy? It's an experience. What's depression? It's an experience. What's anxiety? It's an experience. What's peace? It's an experience. What's discovering yourself? It's awakening. It's an experience. What's life like after you've awoken? It's an experience. It's all experience. It's all the same thing. It always was. You always were the most magical, infinite being. You always were the most magnificent expression of the universe. You always have been. We all always have been. The only thing is we forgot. I don't know why we forgot. There's plenty of theories knocking about why the fall of man came. And I think I've found my favourite one. 1 second. Where's my phone at? Can you bear with me 1 sec? 1 sec. Hope you can hear it. Oh, bear with me.
I think I learned exactly how the fall of man occurred in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, and Adam said one day, wow, Eve, here we are, at one with nature, at one with God. We'll never age, we'll never die. And all our dreams come true the instant that we have them. And Eve said, yeah, it's just not enough, is it? Exactly.
Could you hear that? I love that. That was funny. Bill Hicks. I don't know why we forgot. But it's beautiful to remember. And I feel like this is what we're all here to do. We're all here to remember. We're all here remembering. Piecing back. Dismember. Take apart. Remember. Put back together. We're just putting ourselves back together. From an illusory dismembering. That we were dismembered from the whole. That we're separate from one another. That we're separate from nature. That we're separate from God. That we're separate from our spiritual being. You know, that's been a real thing where we've thought we're separate from spiritual. We have to become it. We have to become this spiritual thing, and yet all along here we are. We create reality, we create our own experience of life. Doesn't matter what you're creating, you're doing it. Doesn't matter what you're creating, you're whole. You've always been whole. There's only wholeness with the capacity to create the illusion it's not. Just utter perfection in every single human being on earth. But the moment you go to the form, the moment you go to what people think and how they feel, we start to create the impression that we're not whole, that other people aren't whole, that they're not good enough, that we're not good enough. Well, it's true in one hand, because when we go to the form, it becomes kind of condensed. So it's not that it's not good enough, but it's going to appear like it lacks because it's not totality. It's not the totality of life, infinite life livingness. Our spiritual nature is one of infinite life livingness. And it's like, no, it becomes a kind of a collapsing down into this potential of reality that we're sitting in right here, right now, or walking around on a day-to-day basis in. However, that spiritual essence, everythingness, doesn't go anywhere. And that's part of the game of life. That's what we must start to understand, because I feel like in a lot of cases, people are wanting to live in this state of being where they're kind of constant. I've had it said to me, like, what do you think it looks like? And they said, I'll be at one with everything at all times. You already are. You already are. Well, I will see God in everything. I don't. I don't think I'd want to. I enjoy being in this world. I enjoy getting lost. I never used to. Trust me, I never used to. But I enjoy getting lost. I enjoy the fact that you get to have this fucking mad ride. You get to be on this planet creating reality alongside 8 billion other people creating frigging reality. And you get to see the colliding and the clashing and the coming together and the separating and all the dynamic nature of this planet. This is a dynamic planet we live on. And most of the dynamicness is created and the suffering is created because human beings do not understand they're creating their own reality. They think reality is something they observe, merely observe. Because they've never understood that reality is an experience. It's all experience. Always was. Every dream you dream is an experience. Every waking moment is an experience. There is only experience you ever get to experience. Taste, experience. Sight, experience. Smell, experience. Touch, experience. Hearing, an experience. Thoughts, an experience. Feelings, an experience. Life, experience. Death, experience. It's all experience. It's what reality is. It's experience. It's yours. It's your universe. You live in it. You create your own universe. That's the fractal nature. That's the quantum nature of our being. We're all universes. How two people see the same universe. Why? Because we create our own. We share. We share in realities. And when you find somebody who you can share your reality with for X amount of period of time, it's a beautiful thing. Man, today I was working on this man's tree and he was just saying, there's just so much change going in the world at the moment, Dave. I said, yeah, there is. I didn't bother going into, well, I personally believe it's because the mind of man's changing, that the world itself is only held together by thought. Society, the structures, they're only held together by belief. They were made by thought, they were made from thought, they created entirely from thought, they're held together by thought, but people's minds are changing nowadays and people are starting to question shit and it's all starting to crumble. I think that's a beautiful thing. Personally, I think that's a wonderful thing. Because I find more and more and more people are striving for integrity and decency. That's my observation. That's my world I live in. I don't think there's many people who would disagree that, don't know, that the youth today are generally more accepting of one another. One of the things I noticed, because my nieces came, they were telling me about the gay friend at school. So you got a gay mate at school? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, cool. Let's get the shit kicked out of him. Like, what? Well, does he get the shit kicked out of him? And they're like, no, why? I said, because at my school, they'd have got the shit kicked out of them. But your kids don't do that. And they're like, no. And they looked absolutely astounded I even asked the question. I'm like, consciousness is changing on this planet. People are becoming more tolerant. People are becoming more loving. Just look at the kids. Don't look at the news. Don't look at the news. Look at life. Look at real people. And you'll see kids are becoming more decent. You know, when was the last time you heard about a grandma getting mugged? It just doesn't happen like it used to. When was the last time you saw a fight? I remember last time I saw a fight. I'm not saying they don't happen, but when I was younger, they happened all the time. Every time you drove through town on a Saturday night, you'd see a fight. It's all changing. But man said to me, he said, you know, it's all changing. Everything's changing, isn't it, Dave? I said, yeah, but you know, you can fight change or you can accept it. I said, one of those is a battle you're never going to win if you fight change. But if you can learn to accept change, because after all, change is all that actually really is happening. Every single moment is change. Why would the creator create the same thing over and over again? That would just get bored shitless. So naturally, it creates change. You know, and we can either learn to accept that or we can learn to fight it. I don't know. I find my life's a lot easier when I accept change. Hello. Hello. Excuse all the mess in the back. I've been called Nesh for wearing
That mean?
body warmer. Nesh. It was a bit soft in it. Should see my hands, Lise. My poor little hands look from climbing trees. Nesh. My hands have gone all soft.
Can I just say, talking about youngsters, I was walking with the dogs, my 100 dogs, you know, 2 of them in the pram, and these teenagers walked past, lads, 3 of them, and one went, "Love your dogs." I said, "Love you," and he went, "Love you." It was just ace. 3 teenage lads that could have jeered and laughed at 2 disabled dogs in the pram and 6 million others. And he went, "Love your dogs." I went, "Love you, love you." And it was just ace that he could say that he was just this teenage lad that could say, "Love you."
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, beautiful moment, and it it was just so lovely to just, you know, when he said, "Love your dogs," just to say, "Love you," you know, just to say, "Love you."
Yeah.
And
That's
for him,
nice.
I know, and for him to go, "Love you," it was just ace. And I just thought, I just hope he's you know, a little micro lesson that he's worthy of love, and um, just to say love you for saying love your dogs, and just spreading that, doof, you know, little poof. Yeah,
Love that, Lise.
I'm just
We've
really
Sorry, Lise.
trying, just you know, with what's looming on Friday, and one minute I'm crying my eyes out, and the next minute I'm looking for joy, like I've planted over 250 bulbs in the local park, and my choir said, "We'd like to bring you some flowers round." I went, "Will you bring me bulbs instead?" But bulbs? I said, "Yeah, because they go on for years, and not only will I enjoy them, and they will, you know, everybody else will enjoy them." And they're like, "What a good idea." So yeah, I've been busy digging up the council park when, but and it's funny, like people going, "Do you work for the council?" "No, I'm just planting bulbs." "Well, if they catch you." They'll dig
Catch
up.
it.
They'll dig them up. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I hope that's what they're spending our council tax money on, digging up bulbs.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not fixing the potholes. They must be spending it somewhere.
yeah, yeah. Right, John, your job today is to go and dig up bulbs in the park.
Aye, so we saw some mad old woman planting bulbs, go and dig them all back up.
Less of the old.
I didn't mean to say old. Damn.
This is platinum blonde.
It is platinum, I can see that one.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to look for joy, little, little, just looking for the glimmers, looking for.
Do you know where it is, Lise?
No,
Do you know where joy is?
in nature, in watching the bulbs come up, knowing that they know what to do each year, knowing they have hope, knowing.
You've just gone right outside of yourself. You've gone into the
Hmm,
illusion.
oh,
John, I saw you tap your heart. John, where is it? Unmute yourself.
inside me.
Johnny is this.
On mute.
Hi, Dave.
I am it.
Yeah, it's inside.
It's nice that knowing that, innit? How nice is knowing that?
Very. It's very. The nose gives me a sense of like security as well, kind of thing.
Yep.
Just everything. Like, just when you first get that feeling, you just get the knowing everything. Just know that everything's inside, that everything outside is just an illusion.
Go lad. Thanks, Johnny lad.
About it.
As you were saying that, Lise, John was tapping his heart like that. Where is joy? Where does it come from? Does it really come from the plants? I've been working with people today who, in some cases, really don't like plants. And I'm trying to convince them to like them or to be more gentle with them. And the next door neighbour, her garden's unbelievably wild. And they're saying, she's mental. She's got this wild garden. She's like, I just love all the plants. And the next door, two totally different realities live right next door to one another. And we were working on the hedge line. But if the joy really came from the plants, the next door neighbour would have to feel it. So where does joy really come from?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. I guess. Yes, but I guess me finding joy in planting the bulbs and then the guy coming behind me going, they're going to dig them up, don't you? You know, you don't work for the council. Two different realities of bulbs.
Bulbs. Yep.
What we missed.
What you miss? So Lise opened up with basically thinking trains, getting lost in thinking,
Thinking about your thinking.
thinking about your thinking. And so we spoke a bit about, Sid didn't really talk about mind, consciousness, and thinking, but we spoke about the principle of thought and the difference between studying thinking and studying the power of thought. How one is an infinite field of potential, completely creative, infinite, unbreakable potential, and the other one is a finite creation that has a temporary life effectively and comes and goes and really has no power other than that we believe it to have, that we breathe life energy into it. Yeah, I spoke about that. This is John, by the way, sent us the email.
Well, when you were talking about kindness and you don't see fights and stuff as much. I took Lucia to see The Lion King last week, and it's the first time I've been up to London with her. I had the buggy, I had the bags, it was pouring with rain, so I had loads of coats. And every single person that I kind of came across before I had to ask helped me. And like Lucia was smiling at everyone. People were smiling back at her. So I was like, oh, I've got a 2-year-old, I'll help you down the escalators. And so I thought there was a lift and there actually wasn't at that stop. And I was just blown away by how kind everyone was and how I think having Lucia, who just has no idea about the tubes of data, like my mum had said to me, don't have your phone out and don't be speaking on your phone when you walk. People have been swiping the phones and they know that it's open. I was just like, okay. But I said to her, I don't live in that world. Like, I don't think I'm stupid, but I don't live in that world of I'm going to panic about all that kind of stuff. But it was just really, I loved the experience of it. And then on the way home on our last train, she was really tired and she had all her lions with her and she kept dropping them. And a guy was just about to get off. He came over, he picked up a lion, and then he goes, and here's £2. Make sure you spend it on sweets and chocolate.
Oh,
And just beamed at her. And yeah, we were shown so much kindness. It was easy. It was an easy kind of trip. But I think it was also me being able to look people in the eye and smile and say hello to people. Like I used to just walk around head down and could probably look quite rude because I was so insecure. But actually, the difference in being like looking around, and I think I spent so much time thinking about my thinking about myself, what I look like, all those kind of things. But I feel like it's probably the most present in London I've ever been. And like Lisa, you're talking like there's a book that I read, Lucia, who it was written by George and Linda Pransky called Cow the Cat. And it talks about, if he has a scary thought, he feels scary. If he has a happy thought, he feels happy. And actually, generally, all of those things are almost like balloons. Like they have their life, and then at some point they float away. And then it says in it, and then there's those ones that worry us that we give loads of thinking to. And he said that's like a snow globe, that's been shaken up. And the only way it settles is when we leave it alone. And at some point, we always leave it alone. Like we might shake it for a bit and think that's going to help. At some point, we always leave it alone. And I think we can worry ourselves or preoccupy ourselves with, oh, I spent loads of time in negative thinking, or I spent loads of time overthinking, and it's already happened. It's already gone. Once you're in a new experience, you don't have to keep looking back.
Mm.
And I think the noticing that you often speak about, Dave, is I'm catching myself recently, like almost being negative about someone, and then you're just like, what are you doing? Where do you want to live? And I think that's, I think I was saying it to you, Neil, the other day when we met up, that on Elsie Spittle's retreat once, she did a talk for us on our online event, and she was saying, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in anxiety, or do you want to live in a beautiful feeling? Like, well, where do you want to put your attention? And I think we all always say it's more complicated than that. We think it's something more than that. But I love her, the way that Elsie has shared, always just to the simplicity of wherever you put your attention will grow. And there's still times when I'll put my attention, like today, I'm trying to book the retreat, and then it seems like there's a time limit and moving money, and I can feel myself getting a bit like, this is urgent, this is important to think about. And then, no, it's not. I'll either go through and I'll do it tonight, or I won't, and we might lose that venue, but I'll find another venue. And I think that's the beauty of this.
But the venue's booked.
Yes, it puts everything back into perspective again. Of like we get so like and urgent, and then the noticing is, oh, I don't have to do that. And like you were saying,
The first noticing is, oh, I'm doing that.
But it does sometimes take the body a little while to then like let the chemicals to pass through, whatever it is that goes on within. But I think there's so much power in the simplicity, but we kind of hear the simplicity and then we think it has to be a bit more than that.
Or perhaps we just don't hear the simplicity, full stop.
Yeah.
you know, and
Or we hear it and we think, yeah, but
yeah,
it's really hard. But I think that's why when Sid spoke about the principles, even before he spoke about the principles, he spoke about consciousness. And he speak about raise your level of conscious state. And I can see how a shift in consciousness to a more open, expansive state, whatever thought pops in, has a different feeling to it.
Mm.
So you can see that actually at certain levels of consciousness, a certain type of thought will have this feeling and you have a full body reaction to it. In another level of consciousness, you can have that same thought pass through and you don't have the same experience of it. So again, there's evidence to support, like, it's not the content. If it was the content, you'd always have to have the same reaction to the content. But actually, it's where you are in consciousness, how you're viewing the content, what you're making of the content, how whether you're buying into it or not, or believing it, however we want to talk about it, that will be the thing that has the power. And I think that's why when you start noticing, like you to speak about, notice when you're getting negative. Just notice, and how does that feel? And it's not about trying to think positive all the time. But when you come back to the present moment and you're not thinking about the past and the future, and we do more often than not notice what's real. And what's real is this infinite space, divine mind, like a potential, and that does come with a feeling, and that's always there, that's always available. And I think that's why we generally love to hear the stories of people who have been in extreme situations or circumstances who touch that space. Because we like to see how we know it's true at some level. And I think all of us would have experienced at some point in our lives being in an event or a circumstance that usually would have a certain effect on us, but for some reason we weren't affected. And I think that's the things I think I started to really notice after I came across the principles. And that's cutting the cord between outside, inside, this idea that there's a cause and effect. And I think that was the game changer for me. It's like, if that's true, then the potential of our minds in any moment is a freedom. Our minds are totally free. And that's an incredible thing. But also to not be afraid of feeling, like grief, love, all of those things is part of being here and being alive. And like I always talk about Luce, but it's like watching Lucia fully feel. And like there's certain books that she'll just get so emotional about. And then tonight she said goodnight to the dogs, and we're dogs. My mum and dad are dog sitting, and she loves this little dog.
he's wonderful.
And she just tried to give him a little kiss on the head, but I have tried to explain to her, do not do that to a dog. And it sort of just went for her a little bit. And then you just see her whole face going, and she's like, and then she's fully in the experience of sadness of him doing that. And then, I don't know, within a few minutes, we're reading a story and she's in the next moment. And I think there's such a freedom in watching her, freedom of the allowing of it coming and going. And I don't think she'll revisit the feeling of how she felt when that happened. She might talk about, oh, I shouldn't do that to his head, because she can learn. She's intelligent. That's what we all have the God-given gift of, in this intelligence. But she doesn't think she's done it wrong, or she should have done it differently, or she should have realised. Like, there's such a difference of not the over analysis of it all.
Yeah.
Like just presence.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what Jazz Jen was speaking just then, I wrote something down, and Sid was always trying to introduce us to the formless. And formless is the power of thought. It's pre-form. The power of thought is pre-form. What we think is form. That same power taken form. Like energy, matter is energy condensed. It's still energy. It's still formlessness taken form. I don't know how it works. Don't know how that happens, but that's what we've come to understand. And Sid was trying to bring us to the understanding that we are both formless and form. The body is form, it's our form, it's the form of the soul, it's the form that we've created from within ourself. The energy that lives life created this body. It thought it was perfect for us to have the experience that it wants to have. And he was introducing us to the point that we're both form and formless. The problem when we start looking at our thinking is we're mesmerized by the form, solely the form, solely the form, solely the form. But when we start to become aware of the formless, the non-form, the non-physical dimension of our being, you start to create a more holistic approach to ourselves, a more whole way of experiencing life when we realize we're both in this dimension, physical and non-physical. There is a part that lives the body, that animates the body. And I say this many times, I love the word anima. That is the origin of the word animate. And the word anima means soul in Greek. So the word animate, to animate something, is a soul thing. It's a spiritual thing. And there's an energy that's animating every single one of our bodies right now. There's an energy that's animating our experience. It's the same energy. There's an energy that's creating the experience, and there's an energy that's observing it, and it's all the same thing. The difference between the power of thought and what we think is one of them is infinite formlessness. The other one is that infinite formlessness collapsed into potential form. That's why Sid wasn't talking about our thinking. He wasn't talking about thoughts. He was talking about the power of thought. The power of thought. The power of consciousness, the capacity to be aware, this awareness, this livingness, this that is observing and experiencing and creating. What he described as mind is the infinite, just whole of everything. A divine presence, not man-made, infinite. Inside it is all the information. It's all the same force, mind, consciousness, and thought. They're just three words to describe three different attributes of one force. I always remember you and Rudy talking about water as liquid, ice, and gas. It's just all water. But I feel like when you look at life itself, anybody who has one of those awakening experiences, there is no three things. There's the appearance of three things. But it's really all one. It's life. Whatever life is, whatever living is, whatever this living force, whatever the anima is, it's that. Whatever love is, it's that. Whatever that untangible thing that we seek in every single moment of life, knowingly or unknowingly, constantly seeking fulfillment and peace. If we're an addict trying to feel better, we may do our behavior, we may do our drugs, we may do our whatever to try and feel better because we believe that momentarily it will help us feel better. Yet the same addict would seek peace, try to set themselves free from that behavior. So they seek peace in the behavior and they seek peace trying to get out of the behavior. Constantly, everything is a search for peace and love. Why? Because we know it exists. We know it exists. We know it's available to us. We just don't know how. We just don't know how to access it. We don't know how to find it. But we know, otherwise we wouldn't be on these calls. Otherwise there wouldn't be countless people going to see therapists and doing this course and that technique and meditating and running and walking and planting bulbs and blah, 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 blah. Drinking, drugs, sex, watching films, YouTube, and constantly scrolling on our phones. What are we seeking? We're seeking peace. We're seeking fulfillment. We're seeking joy. We're seeking love. Why do we want all that money? Because we believe it's going to bring us happiness. Why do we want that new job? Because we believe it's going to bring us happiness. Why do we want to move home? Because we believe it's going to bring us happiness. Why do we need the holiday? Because we believe it's going to bring us happiness. We're always on this search for fulfillment, peace, and happiness. But we know it exists. Like John just said, it's not outside of us. This has been the trick all along. Hidden in plain sight. We look through the very thing we are seeking. We look from the very thing we seek. We're like lighthouses stood on the edge of the cliff, shining our lights out to sea, trying to find ourselves. Where am I? Spinning our light round, looking in every direction. Where am I? Where is it? Where's this thing where am I? Shining our light outside over and over again, spinning round and round and round, getting dizzy and lost. We were the light. We were always exactly where we were stood. We were never lost. It was never over there. It was never in the future. It was never in the past. It was always here and now.
When you said that, I was thinking of the don't correct me until I've finished. The in the Lost Chapter of Thomas, where it says, become a passerby. Know that you're seeing each moment, the very first and the very last time in the eternal now. Is that right? I remember hearing that, and
Close
it's
enough.
like 2,000-year-old quote. Like, I don't know. It's like it's not. It's been pointed at, and it's everywhere. Like there's so many things pointing back to this. There's so much evidence for it. And I think sometimes when you come across something, for me it was the principles. Like I had eyes for that. I had eyes for like, wow, there's reminders everywhere in songs, in poems, in movies, in scripture. In I was still doing wedding photography when, I started doing wedding photography to kind of support me when I first started sharing the principles, and standing in like ceremonies and church and being like, wow, like, oh, that phrase there, or that, it's there.
You can hear it. I remember that. I remember I used to go to church. I used to sing in church. I was in choir. And what is that?
Nothing.
What was that?
You'll have to
Why
mention that
not?
you're in the choir and
Wasn't
you're on
it
Songs of
obvious?
Praise.
I was never mentioned Songs of Praise, but I was on Songs of Praise, you know. Thanks for mentioning that,
That's
Jen.
all right.
Thanks. I was on Songs of Praise. I sung in York Minster and I was on Songs of Praise. And I used to love the idea of God. And I used to love the idea of Jesus and all that stuff. And I used to get a lot of joy from going to church and singing. I can remember those moments. I can still remember where people are walking up to take the bread and all that stuff. What's that called?
Body of Christ.
Yeah, what's all that called? Communion.
Yeah.
They're going to take communion. And I remember getting this feeling as I sang and people smiled as I walked past. Like this feeling of love, this beautiful tingly feeling that just ran up and down my body, and I used to love it. And then I went to secondary school and I learned all about science and how God was a myth,
I think they teach that secondary school.
pretty much. And that was one of the parts of my life that I really started to feel empty, and
Around the time you heard about they found the chemical for love or
I
something.
remember that in the news as well. Yeah. Oh, we found the chemical for love. We found the chemical for love. And I remember thinking, oh no, love must be more than just a chemical. I remember being so downhearted about it, and like as a kid being so kind of broken almost by that statement on the news. I was like, what? Really? And I remember just being so void of connection after that point, really, and especially the going to school and falling out of love with God and all that stuff, and but then coming across Sid and having that experience and the experience just before coming across Sid, like, and then starting to hear Jesus, like what that man was actually saying, and hearing it now. When I hear it now, it's like, oh no, that surpasses anything I ever believed. What he shared, what that man shared with the world, and what he brought to this world surpasses anything that I ever believed about God or Jesus in church, because he was talking about life, and it was wonderful listening to these beautiful stories and all this stuff about his forgiveness and stuff like that. But when you actually listen to like the book, especially the book of Thomas, I think that is just marvelous. But when you listen or read the book of Thomas, which is very short, 114 sayings, and that's all it is, the Gospel of Thomas, they have to be considered, like read them and considered. Some of them are blatantly obvious, like the one that you just read out. I like the blatantly obvious ones. There's no messing about, straight in there. And some of them are so kind of esoteric, they take some thinking about. But the meaning behind it all now just surpasses anything I ever believed. And it brought back to life and more everything that is available in scripture. And I think it's really easy to read them, because what we're reading is other people's interpretations, and some of them are 400 years after he died. Do you know what I mean? But inside it, there's gold. I'm not religious. I'm not a religious man. I have no intention of being religious. I don't need religion in my life. I'm not somebody who needs organization and structure in my life. That's a total lie. I'm an individual who needs organization and structure in my life. However,
You need someone else to do it for you.
I don't need it from an external authority. Yeah. Yeah, I don't need that. I don't personally believe anybody needs it. The moment you have that identity, there's always going to be its polar opposite. And as long as there is a polar opposite, there will always be the opportunity for war. And that's not the world I want to live in personally. However,
I was going to say it's people.
Yeah.
It's not structures, it's people.
that's very true.
Because I think there's people I know who are atheist, and they create mayhem
Correct.
and war
Yeah.
within family, all kinds of things. And then I know people who are deeply religious but only see love and love for
It's very
all
true.
people and all religions, and they really hear the heart of it.
Yeah.
So it's never it's always going to be down to the individual person.
True.
So I think yeah, because
Thanks for
it's
pointing
very
that out.
easy to blanket things, but
Yeah,
I think
thanks
it
for
is
pointing that out.
yeah. I think about Wendy who's on the call. Like
Yeah.
she's just so loving and accepting and
Mm.
open, but she has this beautiful relationship with her religion. And I know many people who once they came across the principles, it deepened their connection to what their religion was pointing to, and like they heard things differently and kind of heard metaphors and story in a very different way rather than literally. So
Mm.
I think it's down to the individual
Fair
in
point.
terms of how we create.
Thank you for bringing that.
That's all.
It's very good. Appreciate it. Does anybody else want to say anything?
You're not opinionated at all, are you?
John, I'm not opinionated. I have no ego.
Yeah, got it now.
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
Dave?
unmuted. You managed.
Yeah, I got it. No, just when Jim was talking about seeing things with fresh eyes. So like last week I went through to Glasgow after I had this realisation, and I went to see family members that shit's happened between us before, so there's always like friction there. And when I walked in to see them, they were just standing there, and it was just them there. I was just present with them, and there was no story in my head. There was no narrative. There was no anything, no agendas, nothing. It was just my family members standing there, and it was just easy. I just felt the love for them, and I just went over and gave them a kiss and cuddle and told them how much I missed them. And I actually
Oh,
felt I genuinely meant it. But then they were with their friends as well, and their friends caused a lot of shit. So when I looked at her, I thought I was going to end up saying something to her, and it was nothing. It was just pure blank. And before I knew it, I was giving her a cuddle as well, saying it was good to see her. And I'm like, it's just, I'm seeing everything with fresh eyes. Like there's no story, there's nothing shouting at me and stuff. It's just, I'm just present with them, and I can see them.
how did they take it?
Well, now that I spoke to my mum afterwards, yeah, they were very happy. I never knew at the time, obviously. I was just in the moment. But I spoke to my mum and stuff, and they were saying like they've seen they can see a big difference in me, and they can see that how happy I was. So they've noticed that they've noticed a change in me already as well. But it's just
Nice.
weird how I'm seeing everything fresh. Like even hearing songs and hearing lyrics, I'm hearing everything different and seeing everything different. And seeing people in general now, I'm not stuck up in here. I can actually see people and see the world. So that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, you don't need to say anymore, man. That was, I love it. But isn't it a fascinating thing? Say that again.
On
Sorry,
you
John.
go.
No, go. What are you saying?
No, once I think it was only a few days after I had the realisation, went into my shop, the local shop up the road. Normally I'm in my head. The lady that normally serves me, the two years are always in my head. We barely make eye contact to each other. And when I'm in the other day, I went up to the car stairs and I just looked at her and I just said good morning. I was fully present and I just said good morning to her and I gave her a big smile. And she's looked at me, then she's looked away, but she's like double took and looked back, and instantly she just got a big smile and said good morning back to me. And I was like, wow. So I mean, just because I don't know what it was, I don't know if she just felt seen or just because I was present with her. Don't know what it was. It was just weird when I seen that happening because we've never even really made eye contact. Then we had that moment, and it was just I don't know. It's weird.
It's like Sydney,
Love it, John.
with a realization, a shift, or whatever it is that takes place, you're living in a new world and
Yeah.
nothing's changed,
Completely.
but everything suddenly is different. So you can see that like it has to be coming from within us.
Yeah.
Like
All of it. You can see what Buddha meant when he said, stop trying to change the world, change yourself, and the world will change.
Yeah.
You can see it now. You walk around in a different world, because the
Really?
world you walk around in isn't outside of you, it's inside of you.
Yeah. All the metaphors and stuff as well, like, everything just makes sense now.
Yeah.
I'm not trying, like, even when I get insights and stuff, I don't know what you call it, like, I don't try and figure anything out anymore, it's just an instantaneous known, and that's it. Like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, that's what I found. At first, like, see, because of the amount of pain I was in and all the symptoms I had, like, when all that just dropped away, it was just, I don't know what my point was there, what were we going to say there? I had
Not
a
sure.
point.
You were talking about your body and I don't know, we're talking about metaphors. You spoke about metaphors and how you can hear them better now and everything's starting to make sense and you're knowing.
Yeah, but just for this understanding as well, for 6 years, Dave, like, I've been in pain, constantly pain in my head. I've been stuck. I see now I've been just stuck in this same memory, playing it over and over again for 6 years. Well, not all the time because we laugh sometimes. But when I realised this, like, my eardrums used to feel like they were squelching and they were going to pop. I started losing my sight. Felt as if I was
Yep.
going to go blind. My speech was really bad. It's still, I don't know if you can hear it okay now, but like, I was slurring my words really, really bad.
You sound
And
right to me, mate.
all that just dropped instantly. I could not believe it. And I'm like, I don't even know. But at the same time, that's me trying to figure it out. But when it happened, it just felt as if it was normal. I'm not explaining it very good.
Because you
Yeah.
can't.
No,
But you are.
you are.
But you can't explain it. You just can't
Yeah,
explain it.
yeah, I can't explain it, yeah.
And how do you explain to somebody you can't explain it? Like
I know.
when a shift happens, you're not prepared for it. You don't get yourself ready and go, oh, okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Okay, see it. Okay. You don't go through it like that. You're like, and then you come out the other side of it and you're like, everything's different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't explain it. It's totally irrational, but you don't need to explain it. You showing up like this, John, you showing up in your presence, telling your stories is everything that everybody needs. It's like
Yeah.
to me, if my job, I love my job. I love my job helping people. If you can give an individual hope, right? Just hope, just hope. Oh, John had the same shit running through his head for 6 sodding years. His body felt like it was falling apart and he was really, really struggling. But look at John now. If that's available to John, perhaps that's available to me. Okay, if
Yeah.
you give an individual hope, you can help somebody find hope. You've changed their reality. You've helped to change, facilitate. They've had to do it clearly, but you've helped to facilitate a new reality within somebody else. You know, and if more people went to hope rather than despair, this world would be a very different place.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that's all you need to do. You just need to be you now, John. Shine your light because that's a bright light you've got there, dude. Shine that light. Love your family. Love the person you were going to say something to. I was going to say something to her. I didn't. I just gave her a hug. I just felt love. Why? Because all my stories had dropped away.
Yeah, there's no stories at all.
No.
Like, except my full past has just been totally took out my thought system until I think about it. I can't think about it if I
Yeah.
want, but it's not there anymore. It's just amazing. It's been dragging me through hell. Just mad.
I love it. No drugs. No techniques.
There was nothing, I wasn't even trying. I was just sitting having a conversation basically. And it just happened.
Love it. Cheers, Johnny. It's a
No
pleasure to have
problem.
you on here, man.
A pleasure to be here.
God bless, dude. Dan.
Cheers.
I just want to
Sorry.
say, Roger, who was my first teacher, just said you've got no idea the ripple effect of one person kind of dropping story and showing up in life. Like it spreads. even the person in the shop, and you smiled and then she smiled, and like we just don't know. And I think it's so, and I think you can't help but give it away once you've seen something. You can't help but share it because it's just you're different and you show up different. And I think even without words, it's sometimes people start feeling it around you, even if you haven't had a conversation. So yeah, it's just Roger always used to say it's like one person at a time, but then that one person, we've got no idea like the potential and the impact.
Yeah.
Cheers, Johnny.
I love myself again.
Loads of love, big lad.
Yeah,
Dan?
I love you guys.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the back of what everyone was saying, then it's such a surreal experience that you can't like I still even though that now like I'm fully I don't I don't want to say fully realized, but I'm fully like sort of understanding in the way that the three principles have helped me. It's still very strange to me that I still just can't put my finger on it. Like you just can't. Like when we were having that conversation a couple of weeks saying like how would you describe it? I've been thinking about that since we spoke about it, and you just can't do it. Like it's just something that you can't like you can't you wouldn't be able to go into the dictionary and say like how is it? Because you can't even put a name on like how it works. Like the past like 3 weeks, I've felt like crap. I think it's just the season change, whatever. But it's still there. Like it's still like usually when I feel like this, I don't want to do a thing. I just want to sit and mope and do nothing. But since I've had like my awakening, I still want to sit and mope, but I still do the daily things that you're supposed to do because it's a completely different understanding. But I still wouldn't be able to tell someone how how this change has affected me in a way. Um, yeah, so it is strange that you can't like you just can't definitely say that's how you can describe how the feeling is in a way. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is. It's irrational. And this is the word that keeps coming to me about all of this. We're trying to rationalize and put into a rational conversation irrationality. Right? Is it rational that anything exists? Is it rational that from nothing everything comes? Is that rational? Because this is kind of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with from the fundamental ground up, we're dealing with an irrational thing. Is it rational that we are capable of experiencing what we call life? Is that rational? Or is it some completely irrational, frigging mind-bending event? You see, we love knowledge. We love our knowledge. But when you go through something like John's describing, Dan's describing, you can't explain it. It's an irrational thing that you cannot possibly explain. But people want to understand how you do it. And then you say to them, well, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I just listened to this or I spoke to that, and then this event happened, this experience happened, and all of a sudden I felt empty. My noise went quiet, and I stand here a different version of myself. Yeah, but what did you do? Nothing. Well, you had to have done something. I didn't do anything. That makes no sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. I know, but that's just the way it is. And when Sue got older than me, she was like, Dave, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, cool, whatever the hell this is, I'm up for this because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to do anything. I'm sick of trying to work on myself. And she was right. There is nothing to do. You don't have to do anything. When you're ready, when you're ready, and I don't know what the hell makes anybody ready. I don't know why some people are ready instantly and why some people are ready 2 years later, 3 years later, 10 years later. I don't know. I don't know. I can't, it's irrational. But when we're ready, we hear and we feel and we experience and we know. And once you go through one of those experiences, there's no going back. You cannot go back. It's like that's it. It's almost like you've completed a game at Mario. You know, you've sorry, love. Um, sorry, sorry. It was so bad. Jen's mum and dad used to have a Ukrainian refugee who turned out to be evil, and Jen came through in a pair of dungarees. I really liked the dungarees, and she
Everyone was wearing, is it Lucy and Yak? Everyone was wearing them. All the other mums were wearing them. I was like, I'm going to give these a go. I'm not that good at giving new things a go. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go.
yeah,
And I said to my mum, Mum, do you like these? Because it still had the label on. And before my mum could answer,
yeah. Sophia just started going. That's Super Mario for anybody who doesn't understand the music.
you look like Super Mario.
Like Super Mario. And I watched Jenny just go,
Did I ask you?
I thought you were going to leather her. She wasn't popular in this house. But yeah, it's like stepping up when it's almost like you've completed a level of Super Mario. It's like you've and I don't know why, but the game's different. You've got the same characters on the next platform, you got the same kind of things going on, but it's all different. It's all just different. And yeah, it's irrational. And this is, again, we're going back to the formless. Sid was talking about the formless. The formless. How can you rationalize nothing? How can you rationalize nothing? You can't rationalize nothing. Because the moment you go to rationalize it, you go to a thought, which is form, which is a something. So it's like we're trying to put into words and into conversation. I hope that this part that I'm saying now doesn't turn people off and make them go, oh God, well, there's no fucking hope then, is there? No, trust me. This is the good news. This is the good news. In many respects, it's our trying that's keeping us away from it. In many respects, it's our seeking it. You can't seek our true formless nature, the silence that John's speaking about by going looking. The moment you look, you are dancing in form. The moment you go looking, you are creating the reality that you're not it. It's in a moment of when you forget everything, when you just forget for whatever reason. I don't know even whether that's an accurate statement. It's in a moment where, for whatever reason, another dimension of yourself becomes unveiled. And once you've seen it, there's no taking it away. And there's absolutely no frigging denying it. People can tell you you're mental. People can tell you you're back on drugs. People can tell you you're in a cult and all this shit. And they can tell you all that stuff. And you can just smile at them. You can still love them. You can still love them because they don't understand. And I pray that one day they do. I think everybody, well, we have to. It's our nature. It's our nature. At some point, every single soul, I think Jesus actually said this, at some point, every single soul on earth is going to wake up. And it's like on Mario, you step up to the next level. That's not the end. It's just the next phase of discovery of who and what we actually are, because the only thing we're ever experiencing is versions of ourself. That's the nature of who and what we are. That's the nature of consciousness. That's the nature of mind. That's the nature of God. That's the nature of life. Everything we are experiencing is ourself. The only thing you get to experience is ourself. That's why my sister wrote this beautiful piece about everybody you meet is inside of you. everything you see is inside of you. The whole shebang is coming from inside of us. Doesn't mean there's not a world. Doesn't mean when you get in a car, you're just imagining the other cars coming head on towards you. It means that the whole of the experience of what you call your reality is coming from within. That's your gift as a beam of divine light from the Son of God. I say the Son of God, I don't mean Jesus, I mean the light, the infinite light.
Do you know, sorry, do you know what, Dave, on the back of that, right? I was trying to just think, I was thinking back to the day when I had my awakening. And do you know, like when, for example, you and Jen are driving from parent to parent house, like in the summer, you'll obviously have sunglasses on when you're driving. So the way that I can remember it is when, as if you've been driving for hours and hours and hours with your sunglasses on. And then, you know, when you take them off and you get that, oh, like that, you know, where you have to rub your eyes just to make sure like everything's all right so it focuses again. I can remember that. That's how it felt. And like that's the only because it was more of like a like oh shit like this is it it was like taking sunglasses off that had constantly had on for years like trying to figure it out um so get the light makes a lot of sense, like a lot of sense.
Cool. Thanks, Danlath.
I'm trying to remember an Alan Watts talk, but I can't. I'm terrible at remembering them. You know the one where he talks about the ego. It's like it's infinite flaws, and he said it's like the police rush in, but you've gone up to the next level, so you think you've escaped them.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you realise it's like knocking at your door again, and you got up to the next level, but then they're behind. It's always at your heels, kind of thing. Because we can't escape it as a human being, is to have some sense of a self. And I spent time with a friend in Wales who I only like. He's got the least amount of ego of any person I've ever got to spend time with. Like I only got to see Sid once, a 3-day conference, so I didn't spend time with him, so I couldn't comment. But hanging around with Paul was like, and he was just playful most of the time, and then
He's lovely.
occasionally you might ask him a question and he'll talk. But one of the things I just remember him saying when I went to stay with him on my own when I was going through my separation from Rudy was, once it's seen, there's no one to see it. And then another part of the conversation, he said, who's trying to see what? And there's those two phrases really kind of, it's like it pulled out the rug from underneath me, because I realised there was still an aspect of me trying to see more, or trying to still creating this idea of there's somewhere to get to. And if I could see enough. But being in his presence over those, I think I was there for 3 or 4 days, something shifted in me again. And it all just became funny. Like how lost in it we can become, and how seriously we can take it, and how even for me, like feeling like I'd shed so much, but almost like the real me had kind of come forth, and it was like, oh, hang on, there's infinite versions of this. But what we find, I think, that frees us is we find that does not change. If we touch on that place that does not change, the light, I feel like there is a shift in then how we show up in the world, but still, we're still a character.
Oh, totally.
And I think that was kind of the point of, we'll have to try and find it and put it on the group. I love that it's a very short talk by Alan Watts.
Yeah.
And I remember just like cracking up listening to that, thinking, oh God, yeah. You think, oh, I've got one over on life. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the light. But like it's infinite levels of seeing it, and there's also nothing really to see in that way. But I don't know, it becomes so playful.
You just remember him going, it's all crisps.
Well, yeah, because he just gets to the point where you're trying to talk about whatever this is, and then he'll just say, "This is just a story now," and then he'll say, "But then I just get to the point." He
And
goes,
it's
"It's all crisps."
oh, crisps.
But even if he'll tell a story, like I don't know why the character Paul likes football over rugby, coffee over tea, like, but he's not interested in the details of that.
No.
It's like, but the character shows up like that. But he said, but that's still a story. Like he baffles the hell out of you to listen to him. But I always have come away, and there seems to have been a shift, and it takes the seriousness out of all of it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about one of our friends lately he's on his own little spiritual journey, and he's got together with this lady who's like very spiritual searching as well, but they've gone really serious with their spiritual searching, like really everything's serious, they're trying their best to shed their shadow and all this stuff. And I don't know, I was thinking about it today, like, and it seems like the polar opposite of what life really is. What it seems like the polar opposite of joy, of fulfillment, of contentment, of peace, which is really what you're seeking. It's all that. It's that stillness of being. You can't fight. You will never experience that at war with your versions of yourself. You'll never experience it. You will only ever experience the war. And again, why is it people wake up when they wake up? Why is it, I remember I spoke to a lad one time in prison. He said, Dave took me to one side, one of the first times I ever spoke in a prison. He took me to one side and said, Dave, what did you do? Because I was on a recovery wing and I spoke about my recovery. I said, look, my recovery is not from drugs and alcohol. My recovery is from, didn't need that. But my recovery was from, I said, my recovery was from buying into the illusions my own mind was creating. And only one person kind of out of that group came up to me afterwards and went, will you speak to me? I said, yeah. He said, what did you do? He said, because what you're describing is what I need. I said, yeah. He said, you sound just like me. I said, all right. I said, well, have you got access to books? And he went, Dave, I'm in prison. I was like, all right, we can get on the internet. I'm in prison. This lad was in a recovery wing in Preston Prison, which is a Cat A prison. I looked at this man and he's staring me right in the face, like, help me. And all the lads were putting away the chairs and it was really noisy. So I said, come over here. So we went over to the far end of the wing and we just sat down. I was talking to him about what we're sharing on here. I only had like 2 minutes to speak to him. And in that 2 minutes, this man's face, all of his wrinkles fell out. And he looked at me and went, life's as simple as that, isn't it, Dave? I said, yeah, mate, life's as simple as that. He gave me a hug and he said, I've got to go to work. Turned around and walked off the wing. As he was walking off the wing, this tiny little lady, one of the ladies who helped warden thing, kind of helped out on the wing. She's tiddly, tiny little thing. She went, you all right, Sean? And Sean walked past. He went, yeah, I'm good, thanks, miss. She went, turned around and went, what the hell did you just say, Sean? He went, I'm good, thanks, miss. What the hell do you mean? You're good. What do you mean by that? And she came up to me and she went, and I was with this other lad called Lee, 18-foot tall scouser. And she said, have you said something to Sean? I said, yeah. I said, what did you say? So I just explained what happened to me and what I've said to Sean. And she went, I want this on this wing. I want what you're talking about on this wing. She write a proposal. I'm going to try and get it through. I wrote a proposal, never heard a thing. She emailed me back 6 weeks later. She said, I've been pushing and pushing and pushing to get you on this wing. She said, the bureaucracy of prisons. She said, but I'll tell you about Sean. She said, since that conversation, a 2-minute conversation. He's been happy. He hasn't got into a single fight. And he's been going around the wing and talking to anybody who'll listen to him about what he's found about life. She said he's a changed man. I don't know after that. I don't know. And then I had a lad who I spoke to for 14 months. And I had to say to him, mate, look, this isn't falling. This isn't landing with you. I think you need to go somewhere else. I think you need to go and speak to somebody else. I think you need to go and follow something else, go and do something else. But my conversation isn't helping. If anything, you're just picking me up like a cigarette. Every time you start to feel bad, you send me a text or phone me up. I think you better go. Why is it that after 14 months that individual didn't hear a thing, but after like 2 minutes that man heard something? I don't know.
You'd also done the talk for him, hadn't you?
Yeah, we've done the talk, but don't know. It's something that I can't quantify. But I just know that it is totally and utterly the capacity for people to start to live more beautiful lives. It's not outside of us. It's inside of us. It's inside of us. And it doesn't have to look like John's experience. It doesn't have to look like Dan's experience. In some respects, as wonderful as they can be quite violent. You know, they can be violent on a family. They can be violent on a friendship circle. They can be violent at work. When somebody really changes, it upsets everybody's version of them, because everybody has a different version of them inside themselves. So John's mum has a different version of John's dad of John, and I don't know if you've got sisters or brothers or whatever, but everybody sees a different John. Why? Because the John that I meet is inside of me. It's who I create with my creative capacities, who I meet for John. Same for everybody else on earth. And then all of a sudden, when you show up differently, that can really upset an apple cart. And my family really struggled with that for months. I found it very difficult. I had a really difficult time with my family over that for months. And my friends, I lost half my friends in Awana. I wouldn't change it, but I often look at people who are going, oh, I'm just having little insight after little insight. I'm like, lucky you. You know, because you get to go through that little insight and you get to acclimatize, and your family get to acclimatize with you, and then you get to go through it together in a nice transition, and it's peaceful, and it doesn't throw your whole world up and go, there you go, start again. You know, it's like you get to step through bit by bit. There is no right and there is no wrong way. However you are experiencing it is perfect, absolutely perfect for you. Perfect for you. And if you go about creating the dissatisfaction of you need to have this and you need to have that, you will not. You are living in complete poverty, as Jesus said. But it is you who are that poverty. That's what he said. What's the full sentence?
I can't remember.
Fucking beautiful sentence. We create our own poverty. We create our own psychological poverty. Don't mean financial, I mean psychological, our own suffering. We're always doing it. And the only way we can, it's like John was describing and Dan was describing, when we have one of these insights, when you get an insight, it does all the heavy lifting for you. That's what allows us to start to think differently. You can't force yourself with the intellect. The intellect can't create. The intellect is creation. So it's like it's too late. That point is too late. The moment we think it's too late. The moment you think, it's immediately in the past, you know. That's why you can't change a thought. People are trying to change their thoughts. No, stop trying to change your thoughts. You're just thinking about your thoughts. The moment you think, it's immediately in the past. Leave it alone. It's gone. It's already gone. It's just us remembering it. John and Neil and I spent a lot of time yesterday talking about them now.
But if you will not know yourselves, you will dwell in poverty, and it is you who is that poverty? Are that poverty?
But if you will not know yourselves.
Yeah.
But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty, is what he said in the book of Thomas. That's what this conversation's about. It's about us lot coming together and learning to know ourselves. Not the ego, not our little quirks, and no, I do this and I have that and blah 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 blah. None of that. None of that. That's not ourselves. That's the false self. That's the ego. That's the story. When we discover ourselves, there's no words. When we discover ourselves, there's love. Nothing to fix. There's never anything broken. Beautiful thing is, we're all already ourselves. We're all already ourselves, just pretending not to be. Well, that's part of the game of life. Half of the fun. You see, if you're the soul and you know you can never be broken, why wouldn't you go to the depths of darkness of hell? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you see what that's like? And then why wouldn't you see how marvelous it is to come out of it on the other side and go, oh, fucking hell. And remember, why wouldn't you do that? We're not what we think we are. The thing that's trying to fix something is a thought.
Just checking the dates.
Do you want to go through all that? Or share what information you had about it?
Thought you'd done it.
I have, but do you want to reiterate it?
No.
You don't? We're in a freaking business here, Jen.
You've already done it.
Keep up. You see why we should
Do your best QVC, Jen. Go on.
Jen's ex-husband actually used to be on QVC.
He did. He used to do Slender Town.
Did he? Massive six-pack and everything, didn't he? The hell? What are you doing with me? Anyway, so we're going to reiterate the point. We've got a retreat coming up. What's the dates?
5th to the 9th of February.
2026.
I was trying to find the name. That's one
Well,
of where it is. It's in Suffolk, not far from Southwold.
not far from Southwold and near
In
somewhere else.
Saxmundham.
Saxmundham. Near there.
Sit.
Looks a nice spot. It's a really nice spot. So yeah, anybody interested, get in touch. We cannot put it up on our website because our website is still being rebuilt after it was completely and utterly ramshackled, hijacked. Yeah, take it as a bit of a compliment, really, if people are really, or something is that determined to destroy us. I don't know.
I think I take it as a kick up the bum to keep updating the virus software.
There is that as well.
And WordPress tells you to.
There is that as well.
Yeah.
Cool, you lot. Thank you all so much for being here. Really, 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 really appreciate it. God bless everyone.
Sorry I was so late. Yeah, Lucia was not up for going to sleep, but you had been massively hyping her up just before you came down to.
And she'd been running around chasing around this person who was your height with white hair.
Oh, it's grown up Raya.
Grown up Ray, yeah.
And we were sat at the dinner table tonight, and then she went, "You just walked behind Grandad." And we were all like, "What?" And she went, "It's Raya, but she's got her hair back like that, and it's white." And we're like, "All right." She was, "Oh, it could have been an owl because there's owls outside." And we're like, "Was it an owl or was it, did it look like a human?" But then yeah, she's been chasing her around the house all night.
She seemed really adamant.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Thank you very much for this. So I have write you few times on your email and put my info, yeah. But every time I didn't receive anything. So John Stiley usually give me a link, yeah.
Bear with me, Demir. I'm just going to stop recording. Thanks, everyone. Loads of love.